something, I'll tell him to stop. If not, we'll just watch these films as we go along. And I'm going to sit down if y'all don't mind. Okay, Paul?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start the boarding process. Please, Mr. George Hamilton, you are welcome to board at this time.
Good. And hook. Right, Jack. Hook.
Okay, that was at the Birmingham airport. I didn't know that was going to take place. But Delta, I need to say a word about Delta Airlines. They went way and above what anybody would expect for a bunch of old men. They furnished the planes, they furnished the personnel, they furnished everything. Even they got volunteers from all over the country so that each veteran would have one of their representatives to take care of him. So I had him on one side and Robbie on the other. All I had to do was stand up and I'd push a wheelchair on him, and here we'd go every day, all day. And it was just so great. And he's showing some pictures. Stop right there just a second, Paul. I hadn't planned that. See the man with a straw hat on? He'll be 100 December the 22nd from Minnesota. And he was one of the first ones that invaded Omaha Beach. And he's still alive today, which is great to me. Okay, Paul, thank you. That's where we lined up all the time. Every time we get together, we have to have a picture made. I don't know what they did with all those pictures, but we had all of them. And I got a couple of hugs while I was gone. But there's nothing like Pleasant Grove women to hug. That right there is when we got to Atlanta, I believe, just a gesture for Delta Airlines. And if you want to go first class, get in a, what is it, 787 or something to that number, one of the big numbers. It's something, because you can, I slept all the way from Atlanta to Deauville, Normandy. I noticed on that, some of us have our mouths open all the time.
What's those lips doing? They red lips on the side of your cheek there, George.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, I got a little kiss now. That's just one of the kids that greeted us there, so good. And I thought about, what was his name, Chenal, that was a premier of France during World War II, and he wore one of those high hats like that all the time, so I just thought we better get a picture. And that's just some people. And we lined up for something there. When we get to it, I'm going to say something about the parade. Oh, they gave us all kind of medals there while we were there, and that's one, just the gold medal of France. It's just a souvenir medal, but it's great. Well, this is one of the castles that we stayed at. That we saw. They have some beautiful, beautiful buildings, and some of them are 1,000 years old, but they're still standing.
Is that the women's abbey?
I'm not sure. I thought it was taller than that. But I'll tell you, while we're there, when he mentioned that, William the Conqueror had a cousin that he wanted to marry this lady, whoever she was. Catherine, I believe was her name. And he told her if she would marry his cousin, he'd build an abbey for her, for women. And that's the results of it. That was in 1063 that he built it. Yes, this is memorial. He went to every table and got a veteran, and Paul will show you the results of his drawing. And he was talking all the time, as you can see him waving his hands and drawing. It just amazed me.
I don't have a picture of your drawing, but I do have this.
He drew this picture of this man, and we told him the man's nickname is Boots. And after we told him his boots, he put the two boots down there, and then he showed him kicking the cows. We thought. And he could do it on the spur of the moment. That took about 5 minutes. And that's one of the highlights. And it was cold and rained there a lot while we were there. And that's just a cemetery. One of the cemeteries we went to there, they are beautiful, beautiful cemeteries. They have waiting lists just to take care of, not the cemetery, but take care of the graves in the cemetery. That's what the people like to do. They were greeting us with flags. And while he's showing some pictures, go ahead and show them, Paul. I'll talk while we're doing that. They had 3 parades, and they said we're going to have a parade. Well, I was looking for some flags and servicemen and all that stuff. You know what the parade was? 30 old men in wheelchairs. And the people were just so enthusiastic about seeing us and talking with us. And they'll tell you in a heartbeat, if it wasn't for the Americans, they'd be speaking German today. And they love Americans. Their children know more about our history than our children do. Now, these are civilians, French people dressed in army fatigues just for us. So I thought it was American, but I was told it was. We had all kind of dignitaries over there speaking. I can't recognize that gentleman, whoever he is. There's another picture of the cemetery. And they let us walk through there. They have them listed by their names in alphabetical order. The A's are here, the B's are there, and so forth. But they have their names and the states they're from and their ranks. They're beautiful. All right, this is just one of the scenes that we saw. It was just a beautiful place, and this is where we got to see and meet the chairman of the Chiefs of Staff of the United States. He spoke to the veterans, and the ambassador of France, and about 6 people that were of nobility, I'll put it that way. And they spoke to us. And one of those places, I don't know whether we're sure or not, they said there were 10,000 people out there, and it came a rain, hard rain. Not one person moved an inch. They stood right there in that, just to see a bunch of old men. Yeah, that's what I said, trying to figure out. Well, they wanted a picture of us old men, I don't know if they were eager to get them. Maybe they'll plant seeds and then maybe somebody gets a bonus off their card. There's another picture of a crowd just to see old men. And it thrilled my heart and made me feel real honored about being there in the fourth place. I believe about a little here, didn't it? I was out of cards there. They gave us 1,500 cards apiece and we gave them all out. See the people lining up there? And that's the way it was everywhere we went. It was just like that in France. People and people and people. That's when it hailed a little bit also. And those are not soldiers, those are actors, French actors out there. Oh, Michelin was one of our sponsors too. They did a great job. I forgot to mention him a while ago, but they did. And the lady you see sitting there is a 102-year-old nurse that went with us. They had all kind of signs for us there. Make sure we were heroes. See us raining there and we had ponchos on. Some of them didn't have anything on, but they stood there. The man with the blue shirt on, he started to hate that he's an Alabama fan. And every time I see him across 100 feet or so, all he do is holler roll tide. And those children, they were so gracious. Kind of shy, but they were gracious. That was people in our little windows there when it was raining. I wonder how that happened. See, hold it right there a minute, Paul. We're going to show another picture. But that's, what you see there is done, but that's one of the paratroopers that got caught when they fell and they got caught in the churches and in the trees and in buildings by the parachutes. And most of them were killed. That's one of them there.
Well, it's not the actual guy.
No, that's a double.
Wasn't that the town that they filmed part of The Longest Day, the movie The Longest Day?
I think that's coming up later, isn't it? I may be, well, one of the scenes was The Longest Day where the soldier hangs from a building. That's when it rained so hard. And you can see those people still looking at us.
for office.
Yeah. Any American could be elected to any office they want to.
Each one got pictures of themselves.
I'm not sure where that is.
See, that's when y'all were getting on the bus and the little girl ended up getting
Oh,
on the
yeah,
bus.
that's, the little girl got on the bus to get some cards. You'll see her in a minute, that's what it is, yeah.
Robbie said she got real emotional.
We all did, that wasn't the only time either. But you know, the tears of joy, and I wasn't ashamed of one of them.
She's just a big fan. She's a big fan.
Bye-bye.
Look at this.
All right. Say bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
There's the girl start crying.
That's like beating the Beatles.
That's an American, he was a soldier and fought at Normandy, but he moved to France, he lived in France now. And this, I believe, is where we're getting ready to go up Omaha Beach. Now, on June the 6th, they had a Jeep and a driver for each veteran. They had over 30 Jeeps there. And we boarded the Jeeps and went from one end of Normandy to the other. That's what's going there. And, you want to talk about something that gets next to you. It made me proud to be an American, and it made me feel sorry for the men that had to invade Normandy, Omaha Beach and Utah Beach, and the families they left behind. But in those days, you didn't ask why, you just did what you were told.
We are here on June 6, 2022 with one of our war heroes, Mr. George Hamilton, where most people are going out to the beach to put up their sun chairs. We're riding along where the D-Day Normandy invasion took place. Quite a historic moment. This area, I understand, had over 2,000 casualties the first day, and it's most of the movies we've seen fix. Pretty amazing what they were able to accomplish that day. We are so honored, George and all the veterans for all the turnout here at France. So anyway, this is our morning beach stroll on the beaches of Normandy, Omaha Beach, Normandy, France. Quite a view. George is
See how
one of
far the
it.
tide
There's
is
all the
to
rest
the
of
right there, and to the left, it's almost that way. I've never seen a tide that rose and fell that distance before. They gave each one of us a rose, and we put them on the beach in honor of the people who stormed the beach. That's what we're doing it there.
Big roll tide there. There's our little buddy, yeah.
Go Buckeyes!
Uh-oh. Gotta have one for Matt, what can you say? Can't get away from it halfway around the world.
That's a very, very moving day right there. If it didn't cause you to think back, there's something wrong with your thinking. That cross, hold it right there. There's a man in Pleasant Grove, Alabama, made that little cross. His wife died last November, I believe, was the day she died. And after she died, he took a piece of metal and made that little cross like that. That's what it's showing there. And his testimony is that he took a piece of scrap metal and made a cross. And that the Lord can take scrap people and make anything out of them that he wants to. Missionaries, preachers, laymen, whatever. And he's trying to get these crosses, as many as he can produce by himself. They told me he gets a rod, I believe a 1/2 inch wide and a 3/8 inch thick. He gets them 20 feet at a time and cuts them in two. That's made out of one piece of metal. That hole was not cut in there. It's the way he folds that cross that makes the hole in the middle of it. It makes it so good. And he cut his, he's the one that Philip was talking about, cut his tendon. He had surgery today, and they think that the rehab's going to be 4 months for him to get back, but he's good in that. And his name is Daniel Long. And keep it on your prayer list. He's a fine man, has a wonderful testimony. Okay, Paul. That was one of the more moving parts, too. That's Michael Malone there, the man in charge. He's a great one. I think that's him. Is that Robbie Williams?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing as good. I had my eyes dilated this morning. They hadn't come back to full focus yet. It'll take 2 or 3 days for an old man to get his focus out. Oh, you know, I talk about stop it right there a minute, Paul, please. I talked about the dome tree from Pearl Harbor. It was natural, the Lord made. Vicki called my attention to those trees there. But hey, they're all man-made. They're all man-trimmed. They can't do as good a job as God did. But that was a beautiful, beautiful sight there. Okay, Paul. Now this is where the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff talked to us. And in the background, you can see them back there, the crowd. And you know, they couldn't see anything. They couldn't hear anything, but their presence was known. And that's what they were there for. And that'll make you stop and think too, for people to come out like that, to see a bunch of, as I still call a bunch of old men.
You and Rob G.
Is that the school? That's the school?
School.
Those children, we had 2 busloads of them. We went to a school, I'm hoping this is it. And yes, the kids out in the yard waving. I said, if the only way they could get kids in Alabama to do that would be for the football team to win the state championship. Then they'd get out there and wave at them. But they were enthusiastic the whole day long. We stayed there most of the day. And they were just great. See how that's when we were leaving. They were still at it. And it just makes you appreciate children again. And I had the opportunity to get to talk to some 11-year-olds in class. I think they'll show a picture of it again. It was just great.
Thanks to you, it is a symbol of we discovered peace and we can answer one to understand in complete freedom. I'm grateful, thank you for the 6 and chief students.
That's the classroom I'm in.
So that's the sound of the beach of Omaha.
Great, that's great. I have a friend whose father was in the first wave at Utah Beach. He is dead now, but my friend wanted me to bring him a souvenir, and I'll give him just a little bit of it.
Il a un ami donc, qui a été été sur la 4e vague de Omaha.
But one of the little girls asked the right question. She asked me, said, what do you do in the mornings when you get up to relax and make you feel good all day? That was the wrong question for her to ask me if she didn't want the right answer. And I told her about my little quiet time with the Lord every morning and how I enjoyed it so very much when I did it, that I would do that. And then I gave them a challenge. I said, if you want to feel good all day, just take a Bible in the morning and read 5 verses. And they shook their head. Now, whether they did or not, I don't know. But they were so attentive there, and you see them waiting again there. Thank you, Paul. I believe, is that the men's Abbey, David? I think that's the men's Abbey. Yes, that's it. That's a courtyard in the men's Abbey. There's a stage out there. And they have a young lady out there singing that could be an opera. And there's one that...
Are these the buildings that survived because they put a red cross?
Yes, they put a red cross on top of each one of these buildings so the Allies would not bomb them. And I have a picture, a postcard they gave me that shows the Abbey and all the surrounding area, and they said that the surrounding area was flattened by shells. If you want to see it, you can come by and see it. Or if you want to know anything else, I'm not saying, you can come by the house and bring a potluck with you and we'll sit down and talk about it. It was just great. That was a tour there that we had with dignitaries and very formal there. It was beautiful, beautiful. There's some beautiful land there in France, in that part of France. And that's the Abbey, the big Abbey there. And the section we were in must be a grain section because we saw miles and miles of field with barley and oats and wheat in it, and at different stages. So it was just great. That's the dining room, one of the dining rooms in the Abbey that's where we had our meal. And as far as I could tell, nobody ever got in a hurry. Nobody was ever in a hurry. It was so relaxing on that part too. Now, the man on my right there is Kevin Bloomberg. He's a meteorologist with Delta Airlines and works at night and volunteered his time to come over and help keep me coming. He and Bobby on the left there took care of me from start to finish. And that's us again with Michael Malone that came down from New Jersey for my birthday. He is on the police force up there, and he was in charge of moving people around, and he knows how. He knows how, and he has one of those booming voices where you're afraid not to obey it.
That's all he had.
That's it? Okay. And yeah, I said he was a meteorologist. The night before we left, this is what he works with. This is a map of the world. And he told me what each thing was. If you want to see what a meteorologist does, you can look at this. But don't ask me any questions because I don't know what anything means. One of them means it's going to rain. I don't know which one. Oh, by the way, that's something else that I could say that I hadn't planned to. Kevin as a meteorologist, grew up in Georgia, which that means he doesn't have, he's not as smart as some other people. But, one day we passed a herd of cows and they were all laying down.
Yeah.
And you know what we told him?
Yeah.
How many of you know what laying down a cow is ready to have?
All right.
Means it's gonna rain.
Right.
Yeah, that's all over the country. So like we're the only country people here, I guess. But, it means it's gonna rain the next day. And we told him it was gonna rain, and sure enough, he did. He said, I learned something. Then a couple of days later, we passed by some cows laying down, and he went, when he got in that evening, he told his crew, the Delta people, it's not gonna rain before 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. You mark that down, and he did. So he's convinced that the cows can tell what to do. Does anybody have any questions? I don't know whether I can answer them or not, but I'll be glad to try. I can make something up and you wouldn't know what it's going on.
How close is the cemetery to the beach?
Beg your pardon?
How close is the cemetery to the beach?
Oh, I would say, Jay, probably 2 or 3 miles. They weren't right on the beach. And I always thought maybe that, Omaha and Utah Beach were next door to each other, but there's about 5 miles separated. So those two, we didn't get to go to Utah Beach. It rained that day, and that's the one I wanted to see. But, they're way away. And I don't know what I told somebody that we would be the first commercial flight to land at this airport, and the last commercial flight to land at this airport. It's a real small airport for local people, and I said the airplanes are all, that's where they work on all the small planes around here, I guess the crop dusters and so forth. And they built the runway, and it looks like it's about a mile long, but they built this runway just for us to land there and to take off coming home. And it's my understanding, I don't know whether they did or not, that they're gonna take it down when we left. So that's another honor that we got. But I'll take just 2 minutes and capsize the whole thing. From the time I walked in the Birmingham station on May the 31st, the manager of Delta met me at the door and said, we got something planned for you upstairs. And that was that Air National Guard platoon, I call them, up there with it. They volunteered to come over there to see me off. And from that time till I got back, and there were some of them up there when I came out of the tunnel coming in to greet me, and more people downstairs. And when I walked out, that was a period of 8 days that I was covered 7/24. And I loved every minute of it. And it made me feel very humble, but it also made me be proud that I will associate now with the greatest generation, because I can brag that I'm a member of the Veterans Administration of the greatest generation and a World War II veteran. That's my claim to fame. Thank you.
Thank you. Where did y'all stay at night, George? Did they have a hotel or a motel or something that you stayed in at night?
We had a great big hotel. I'm glad you, but it was about 15 miles from anything that we went to see. It was at another Duville, no. What's that? Cone. They pronounce it Cone. C-O-E-N. And that's the only place they could get it. First, they thought we were going to have to go to Paris. And they told us we might have to stay in individual private homes there because there wasn't a hotel big enough to take care of us. But they went that extra distance and found a hotel for us. Thank you. And I think we were old. The oldest people we had was a nurse. She'll be 102 next month.